Welcome to Algebra 1, Chapter 9, Section 6, Solving Quadratic Equations by the Quadratic Formula. Some of the advantages to using a formula are that it's easier to remember and it's easier to write out. Can you come up with any others? Our vocabulary word is discriminant. The discriminant of the equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 is the value of the expression b squared minus 4ac. The discriminant will tell us how many real number solutions a quadratic equation has. If it's positive, it has 2 real number solutions. 0, it'll have 1, and negative, it'll have 0. Let's work some problems showing this example. As you can see, for problem number 2, we use the formula b squared minus 4ac. Our b term is 3, so 3 squared is 9, minus 4 times our a term, which is 5, times our c term, which is negative 9. Well, negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Negative 20 times negative 9 is positive 180. So 189 is a solution. That's positive, so we have 2 solutions. Please go ahead and try number 3 and 4, and then restart this video to see where you're at. How did you do? Well, if you have any questions, make sure you bring them to class. When you're looking for solutions, it's nice to know how many solutions you're looking for. So if the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, is positive, then the equation has 2 solutions, 2 x-intercepts, 2 places where it crosses the x-axis. If b squared minus 4ac is 0, then the equation has 1 solution. It crosses the x-axis at 1 location. If b squared minus 4ac is negative, then the equation has no real solutions. It does not cross the x-axis. Sometimes our equation is not in standard form, which means the first step would be to put it in standard form. So in this case, we need to subtract 7 from both sides. So our equation will be 6x squared minus 5x minus 7 equals 0. To evaluate the discriminant, we take the b term, which is your negative 5. We square that. That becomes 25. Then we take minus 4 times a, 6, times c, negative 7. Multiply that out, which gives us 168. 168 plus 25 is 192. This is a positive solution. So we have 2 real number solutions. There are many methods for solving a quadratic equation. We have used graphing, square roots, factoring, completing the square, and now we have the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula will always work, but sometimes the other methods are easier. As I've stated before, b squared minus 4ac is the discriminant. This is the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula puts a discriminant inside a radical. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. This formula will solve any quadratic equation. Yes, you heard me correctly. You can use the quadratic formula to solve any quadratic equation. First, make sure you have a quadratic equation. Then put it in standard form. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. In this case, our a would be 5, our b is a negative 8, and our c is 3. So our formula will be negative 8 plus or minus the square root of negative 8 squared minus 4 times 5 times 3 over 2 times 5. You simplify and solve the equation and obtain your roots. Again, these are where your graph will cross the x-axis. So for those of you who don't like to factor, this is good news because the quadratic formula works for all quadratic equations. Let's go ahead and try another problem. We are going to determine the solutions of x squared minus 4x equals 21. Step 1, write it in standard form. Identify the a, the b, and the c. Then substitute the values into the quadratic formula. Simplify, simplify, and then solve.
Here's a problem I would like you to try solving by yourself using the quadratic formula. When you are done, pause this video, and then I will work through the steps with you. Did you write down the quadratic formula correctly? Did you correctly label your A, your B, and your C? Did you correctly put A, B, and C into your quadratic formula? Did you simplify? As you can see, I stopped leaving this in radical form. You may have went further and put it into decimal form using your calculator. That would be okay as well. If you have any questions about how this was done, make sure you bring them to class tomorrow. Now, I've told you that the quadratic formula would work for solving any quadratic equation, and that's true, but it's not always the most appropriate model. Which method would you choose for each of the following? Draw a line from column A to column B. Take a moment, think about this, and then check back here and see how well we agree. Since the first one, x squared minus 8x plus 12 equals 0, is pretty easily factorable. 8 is made up of -2 and -6, and 2 times 6 makes 12. That method should be factoring. On 169x squared equals 36, well, there's no x term, and 169 is a perfect square, and so is 36. So using square roots is the easiest way to solve that one. And the last one, definitely the quadratic formula. The equation cannot be factored easily. I know I've said this a couple times, but remember, finding the solutions of a quadratic equation is the same as finding its roots, its zeros, or its x-intercepts, where it crosses the x-axis. You have a lesson check, and then gauge yourself on how well you know this, and I will see you in class tomorrow.